Now, in this video, I'm going to go through the 8 common mistakes that I see with church safety and security emergency operations plans. Let's dive in. Number 1 is that the plan does not have an owner. Yes, you heard that right. Number 1, many church emergency operations plans do not have a plan owner, which means it's very difficult to get that accountability over other church departments, other ministries to follow the plan if we don't have one person who has the authority to say, kids ministry, you're not following. Worships team, you did not do 1, 2, 3, 4. We need clear accountability. Not having a plan owner also means it's challenging for updates and changes to that plan. When we make a change, how are we communicating that to key members of staff, to key volunteers, maybe even some members of your congregation? How are we notifying them? How are they acknowledging the change? And how are we training them to that change? It can often be missed if we don't have that one authoritative voice. It can also make it challenging for those incident analysis, the after action reviews. If they are completed, there's ambiguity at the end as to what are the next steps. And often they are missed because one person does not have the authority over all the plan. And this can lead to a lack of stakeholder confidence that there's this emergency operations plan going around. No one knows quite what my role is, what I need to do, because there's not one person who has ownership. So number 1, sadly, is what I see in a lot of the church emergency operations plans. They do not have an owner. Number 2, plans are overly complex or copied from the internet. Now, I say this with a dry smile because I see this all too often. Your emergency operations plan is for your church, for your house of worship. Please, please do not copy an emergency operations plan from the internet. Find the things that are most likely to occur and write down how you want the person to respond. Remembering that in a crisis, people generally do 2 things. We do not rise to the occasion, we default to the level of our training. Let me say that again. We do not rise to the occasion, we default to the level of our training. The second thing that we do as humans is that we lose our fine motor skills. So knowing those 2 things, we need to make sure that our plans are written for a 7th or 8th grade, because when we lose our fine motor skills, what you write cannot be technical, it cannot be overly complex because people will not remember. So please do not copy an emergency operations plan from the internet or make it overly complex, because in times of crisis, people are going to lose their fine motor skills and it's going to become too difficult for them to exercise the things that you want them to do. So do not copy anything from the internet. Just simply say what is the most likely to occur at our house of worship and how would we want someone to respond, making sure we are writing it to 7th or 8th grade level. People will lose their fine motor skills and they will not rise to the occasion. They will default to the level of their training. And number 3 is a simple one: revisions and acknowledgements. How many times have we reinvented the wheel when someone has suggested something and we say, well, I think we've done that before and it didn't work? It's really important in your emergency operations plan that you write down the revisions, the date, who was notified, why was the change made? Because I can tell you, experience says to me that it will come full circle and someone will suggest something that you've tried, done, and it did not work before. So in your emergency operations plan, it's really important to chart the revisions and acknowledgements, the date, who made the change, why the change was made, and perhaps best practice, how was that change communicated? Revisions and acknowledgements are a crucial piece of your emergency operations plan. Number 4 is secondary evacuation and reunification sites. Now, that is part of your continuity of operations, is part of your facilitating family reunification. Is going to improve your coordination and response, and it can address legal and compliance requirements. I see so many church emergency operations plans that do not have evacuation sites identified in advance, and they also haven't thought about where will their reunification site be. What if there is a gas leak and you cannot go inside your building? What if tragedy strikes and there is a mass casualty and you cannot go inside your building? Where will people be evacuated to? Where is your reunification site? The best place to reach out to is other churches within your community or local schools, libraries, places that have large areas. Reach out to these people. They may be looking for their own reunification site, but one of the common issues that I see with church emergency response plans is they do not have evacuation sites and reunification sites listed. And number 5 is utility locations. One of the key areas that I see missing from many church emergency operations plans is the shut-off valves for things like the gas, electric, and the water. How much damage could be caused if no one knows where the water shutoff is and there is a water leak? Being prepared, having a map where the locations are identified and instructions as to how to turn them off may minimize financial loss. It's going to enhance your emergency preparedness, and it's going to empower that person in the moment that they know what to do. Without these locations, we know that many crises, many emergencies occur when the key person is not present. So number 5 is utility locations. And number 6 is no mass communication method. Now, if you don't have a mass communication method, you are like many other houses of worship trying to figure out what this looks like, because PA systems or mass notification apps can be quite expensive. However, if you have a PA system or a mass notification app, and there's a really good one that I recommend called AlertCom by Alert Protection Services, it prevents misinformation. It can actually reduce your liability because you can communicate to everyone inside the building, Simon, there is emergency, stay in place, leave the building, await further instructions. It's a great way to disseminate information. Having a mass notification system also allows you a coordinated response. You can make those public safety announcements telling people what to do, and you can provide early notifications and early warnings. So number 6 is no mass communication method. It is often what I see missing from church emergency operations plans. And number 7 is no emergency numbers. Have you ever been in that situation where there is an emergency, there is a crisis, and you don't know what to do, who to call? Imagine someone was at your church and they went to your emergency operations plan and there was no telephone numbers, no names to call, and no support. What a vulnerable position that would be. So one of the simplest things that you can do is look down your emergencies and say who might need to be contacted in an emergency. We have our facilities. Maybe there's operations. If you're a large church, it could be human resources. It could be the pastor out of hours. But it's really important that you just think about who may need to be contacted out of hours and how can we empower people in the moment to have all the information that they need, including things like your local authorities and services that you provide at your church. But number 7 is a lack of emergency numbers, one of the key things that I see missing from church emergency operations plans. And then number 8 is a lack of a media policy and assembly points. Now, we all saw in 2019 when Jack Wilson, the hero of the shooting at the West Freeway Church of Christ in Texas, he had to neutralize the threat. However, post that tragedy, Jack Wilson completed most probably 10, 15 interviews to the press. Were they authorized? Did the church want him talking to the press? Did the church have what is commonly called in emergency management a public information officer? It's really important, if you don't want members of your church talking to the press during a crisis, the best way to do this is to have a media policy with your do's and don'ts. Then the second thing you have with the media is these incidents happen quickly, their responses are swift, and it's almost instantaneous that the world's press will descend on your church. Where do you want those media members to go? Inside the church, outside the church, a particular area of your parking lot. Identify that in advance so you can then say to them, we will give you a statement in time. Please go to our assembly point, our media area, and someone will come out and address you in a few moments. So number 8 is the thing that I commonly see is a lack of a media policy and no assembly points. So let's go down those 8 common mistakes again. Number 1 is the plan does not have an owner. Number 2 is it's over complex or has been copied from the internet. Please do not do that. Number 3 is there are no revisions and acknowledgement. Revisions are important to chart the history and let us know when people have been notified and what they've been notified about. Number 4 is there's no secondary evacuations or reunification sites. Where are people going to evacuate to? Where is your reunification site? Schools, libraries, other churches are great for this. Number 5, those utility locations. Where is your water, your gas? Where are those shut-off valves and how do they work? Please include these in your plans. Number 6 is no mass communication method in times of crisis. It's incredibly important that we can communicate to people and say, Simon, you need to stay safe and you need to work for options. There is an active assailant. There is severe weather, go to this area. We need a way to communicate to people that are inside the building so we can give them instructions. And number 7 is emergency contact numbers are often missing, not just of members of a church, but also of utilities, authorities, the senior leaders, anyone that they might need to contact. Think of your emergency operation numbers, write them down, get them in your plan, empower that person in the moment to have all the information that they need. And number 8, again, we saw this with Jack Wilson at the West Freeway Church. What is your media policy? Who can talk to the media? What do they need to say? And then where will those media stay? So those are my 8 common mistakes that I see with church emergency operations plan. I would love to get your views and opinions. Please leave a message below. I'll do my best to read and respond to each comment that you make. For now, you stay safe. You have a blessed day. Until next time, take care, everybody.